let's take a look how we'd solve some multi-step equations with parentheses. When we have parentheses, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to use our favorite property, the distributive property. And remember, when we use the distributive property, we are going to distribute using multiplication a number out to everything in parentheses. Okay? So, let's look at this example here. Okay, we're going to simplify this side. So the first thing I want to do is let's get rid of all the subtraction. Okay? Notice our 4x just kind of comes along for the ride because, well, it's just being added on here. Okay? And I'm going to rewrite this as 12 times the quantity x plus negative 3 equal to 28. Again, keep, change, change. Now what I want to do is I want to apply our distributive property. So our 4x again just kind of comes along for the ride. We're not doing anything with that yet. We're going to go 12 times x to get 12x plus, that's why we always change things to addition. We don't have to worry if we're subtracting or adding. We just are always adding. Don't forget to distribute the 12 to the negative 3 as well. The reason is the distributive property says we distribute by multiplying the number outside the parentheses to everything inside the parentheses. Don't forget that this 12 is multiplying this negative 3. 12 times a negative 3 is a negative 36. Now we've gotten rid of the parentheses, so let's continue to simplify. What are our like terms? Well, if I have 4x's and 12x's, that's 16x's plus our negative 36. And now this is just a simple two-step equation. What are we solving for? X. So let's solve for our x term, which is 16x. What do we have to get rid of? Our negative 36. Now, how do we get rid of our negative 36? Be careful, guys, because in this case I've gone plus and negative. So if you're like, well, we're adding, we subtract. Well, negative 36 minus 36, or negative 36 plus a negative 36 doesn't give us 0. So think of it as this is a negative 36. I need a positive 36 to get us to 0. Whatever we do to one side, do to the other. We bring down our 16x. We double check to make sure these are opposites. We bring down our equal sign. 28 plus 36 will be 64. Now what are we solving for? X. What do we have to get rid of? 16. It's 16 times x, so how do we get rid of it? Well, we divide by 16. 16 divided by 16 is 1x. 64 divided by 16 is 4. Again, you want to know if you're right, plug it back in. With this would be 4 times 4 plus 12 times 4 minus 3. And we want to know, does that equal 28? 4 times 4 is 16. 4 minus 3 here is 1, so this just becomes 12 times 1, which is 12. 16 plus 12 is 28. So again, we used the distributive property, combined our like terms, and then just solved our two-step equation. Let's look at this second example. Notice now we're dealing with a lot more subtraction. Change all subtraction to addition. So this becomes keep 2x, change a minus to a plus, change 5 to a negative 5. I see this happen a lot, ladies and gentlemen. We're good at distributing, but we don't distribute a negative 5 or minus 5 here. We distribute just the 5. So be careful on that. So we distribute, or I'm going to rewrite it as 2x plus a negative 5 times a quantity x plus negative 9 equals 27. Keep, change, change. Apply it again. Keep, change, change. Now let's do our distributive property. So we bring down our 2x plus negative 5 times x is a negative 5x plus negative 5 times a negative 9 is a positive 45, and that equals 27. Combining our like terms, we have 2x's and a negative 5x's. That's a total of a negative 3x's plus 45 equals 27. What are we solving for? Negative 3x. What do we have to get rid of? The 45. How do we do that? Well, it's plus 45, so we minus 45, or positive 45, so we think of it as a negative 45. This is a negative 3x. These cancel. This equals, I'm not really sure, I believe 18, negative 18. Now we go back and we say, okay, what are we solving for now? x. What do we have to get rid of? A negative 3. Well, it's negative 3 times x, so we're going to do the inverse, and we're going to divide each side by a negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is x. Negative 18 divided by a negative 3 ends up being 6. And if you were to plug 6 in here, 2 times 6 minus 5 times the quantity 6 minus 9. 2 times 6 would be 12. 6 minus 9 is negative 3. So we'd have minus 5 times a negative 3. Keep change. That would be 15. 12 plus 15 equals 27. We did it correctly. Alright, again, we're doing the same steps over and over, even though our problems look a little different. Let's try one more. This one we deal with a fraction. Just because it's a fraction doesn't mean we treat it any differently. Okay? In this case, there's nothing to simplify, so we just distribute. This becomes 12 equals 3/10 times x plus, don't forget to distribute to this one, 3/10 times 10. Simplify. Nothing much we can do here. This is going to say 3/10 x, but over here, if we cross reduce, our 10s are going to cancel each other out, and we're left with just a 3. Keep solving. We're going to subtract 3 from each side. 9 equals 3/10 times x. What are we solving for? X. What do we have to get rid of? 3/10. How do we do that? Well, it's 3/10 times x, so we divide. But we know when we divide by a fraction, it's the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. So we're going to times both sides by 10 over 3. Working cross reduce, 3 goes into itself one time, 3 goes into 9 3 times, and we end up with x equals 10 times 3, which is 30. Want to see if we're right? 3/10 times 30 plus 10, well, that's 40. So 3/10 times 40, if we cross reduce, 10 goes into itself one time, 10 goes into 4 times, 3 times 4 is 12. So please don't be intimidated by fractions. Solve that type of equation with fractions the same as you would solve any equation.